Okay, I'm going to get started today with a thank you for everyone who's watched my videos so far. I've got a lot of likes from my videos, and I'm very thankful for that. Some of the feedback I got was you talk about talking to a child about a death. We need to tell them that the parent is going to die, and I've talked about that a lot, but I never really told you some great ways to do this. And it's hard to say great ways, but we really need to find some um, very important, honoring ways that a child can find out that someone they love is going to die. So today I want to talk about how do you tell a child that you're going to die, or how do you tell them that someone they love is going to die, which is really, really hard. So we'll just get started. I mean, the person's going to die. We can't stop that, but we can certainly change how it affects a child along the way. So it's important to sit them down and tell them that you're going to die. And remember, if you could have had cancer for 2, 3 years, but if no one tells the child that you have cancer and you're going to die, it's a sudden death to them. It's a shock. It's a sudden death. They can't prepare. They can't honor that person like they want to. Remember the little girl I told you about in another video, Sally, where she said she wanted to tell her mom that she loved her, and that was important. So one of the ways that we tell a child that someone is going to die is you sit them down at the table and you tell them, I have something that's very important to tell you. It's sad and you may cry, and that's okay. Those are normal things that should happen. And you say, you are the most important person in my life. You mean the world to me. And so that's why I'm coming to you and to tell you this sadness that I have cancer, I'm going to die, or whatever the illness is. And I'm going to die. And there's nothing more that the chemo can do. The doctors can't help me. The nurses can't help me. The medication can't help me. It's sad, but I'm going to die. But it's really important that you know, and because you are the world to me. And so we don't know how long. I don't have any more information than that. But when I do get more information, you are going to be the first person I tell. So I don't want you to worry that things will happen and you won't know. Just know that you are going to be the first person I tell. And so that's just in a simple way um, how you tell them. You just tell them truthfully and give them as much information as they need. Like they may say, "What do you mean? Like chemo doesn't work?" And you may have to explain how you've had all this chemo and it's just not working for the tumor. It's still growing, or they will direct it. If they need more information, they will ask you, and then you give them the truth of what's going on. Like I said, you have to give them the truth because you can't change this. It's so sad that this is happening. It's sad to tell your child that you're going to die, but you've got to do it. You've got to help them through this. And I remember a man and his wife came to see me, and they said, we just seen the doctor, and he told me that there's nothing more that they can do. I'm going to die. I probably have about 3 months, maybe 6 if I'm lucky. How do I tell my kids? And I said, just like you just told me, just give them the truth and just say, just talk to the doctor. This is what the MRI said. This is what's happening. Straight up. And so he said, okay. He said, that's what we're going to do. So anyway, he went home. He told his little boy, at the time, I think he was 6, straight up what was going on. And, they were going to give him any more information they had as soon as they got it. This is all they know right now. And he's like, okay, Dad, I'm sorry. Like he was just a doll, this little guy. And so the dad came back the next week when he seen the doctor and he came to see me and he said um, that the next day he walked to the post office with this little guy to get their mail. And dad never went to the post office because dad was working every day. So this was kind of out of the ordinary. So they went in and to the post office, and the post office lady said, "Hi." And he goes, "Hey, Alice, guess what? My dad only has 3 days to live." And the poor girl behind the counter, she just didn't know what to do. And the dad just said, "Hi, I'm John. Nice to meet you." And and he said, "But it's a 6-year-old. You're giving them information. It's normal information to him. This isn't kind of out of the ordinary. This is life, right?" And he just kind of took it and went with it. And he was so cute and wrote dad letters and made sure he hugged him, and he was just asked him if he was okay. It was a really um, beautiful experience for them. The one dad was dying, and he told his daughter um, that he was going to die, and she was, I think, 13, 14 at the time, and of course she went in her room and she was crying because he was wonderful man. And then she came out and she said, "Okay, um, what's on your bucket list? What have you got on your bucket list?" And he's like, "I don't know. I don't even have a bucket list. I never even thought of this." And so she said, "Okay, we're gonna get some things on your bucket list and we're gonna do them." And so she was able to accomplish, like, they picked out just 5 things to start, and they were able to accomplish like 4 out of that 5 things. And dad only lived about 6 more weeks after they told her. So that brought her comfort, knowing that she did that with her dad and she was able to do that. So even though it's so sad, but they need to know, they need to prepare, and we can't ignore it, that it's not happening, because it is. And of course, as someone gets closer to dying, the house gets busy and visitors come, and things like that. One of the things that we did with the kids, depending on the age, of course, was when they told them about the person dying, whoever dying, then we gave them a book. And so we gave them a book and a pen and said, "Okay, um, if you have any more questions that you can't think of right now, just write them down and then we'll talk about them tomorrow. But just anything you have to say, just put in your book, and we'll work through it." And so then another thing we did was with the one young man, he was about 15, he had his book, um, and he would write in it. And if he wanted his mom to see what was in the book, he would leave it out on his pillow. If not, it was private and no one was to look at it. So if he had a question that maybe he couldn't voice, and he was always afraid he was going to cry in front of them, that was the thing for him. And he was so wonderful, this young man. But when he had things he wanted more information on, he put it in the book, and mom and dad then sat down and answered the questions with him. So that was nice. Um, so those are just a few ideas. Like, everybody's different, every child is different. You may decide that no, you can't tell the child that it's your child, it's your gut feeling. You may not want to do that, and then it's working with them after the death, because it's you're trying to work on things that you could have done before. And so it's so hard. This is not an easy thing to do. It is not easy to sit down and look at your child and tell them that you're going to die. Like, it's horrible, but it's something we need to do. Take the fear out of the unknown, and always tell them that if you have any more information, they will be the first to know, and that you won't hold anything back from them, that you'll make sure they have all the information. And one of the things here that I've written down, that one little girl, she was in grade 8, and her dad was dying and he was at home. He was going to go to hospice, and then he was more comfortable at home. So the services were there, so he was able to be at home. So sometimes the mom would let this little girl stay home from school and spend the day because mom was still working full time. They had to have money coming in, so mom was still working. So um, the little girl could pick. You get once a week, you get to stay home with dad, and so she would pick which day it was. But the one thing that she wanted me to remind everybody is never call the person down at school. So if you go to school and you need to get this little girl or any child to give them information on something, or maybe pick them up early for a dentist appointment, don't call them down overhead, because she said that timeline between walking from the classroom to the office, 1 million things goes through her head, like, this is the day they're going to tell me my dad has died. So she said, never ever call me down, because it happened once and she thought she would vomit on the way down because it was so horrible. So I would go see her once a week and we would do our illness support program with her, so to help her through the feelings she had around the death. And whenever I would see her, I would walk down to the classroom, knock on the door, and then we would walk to the room. Now, one day, it was a new secretary and she didn't know, and she called her down, and I was like, oh my god. So ran to the room to get there, and she was running out, and we would just stood there and laughed, and I said, I am so sorry. She didn't know. And she said no. So that was something that she wanted to share with everybody, to let them know, never call them down overhead, because it's the worst feeling in the world when your name is called. So those are just some of the ideas for how to tell a child that you're going to die. If I've forgotten something, I will definitely add another video in for that. But for now, it's just really important to give them the information as much as they can handle. Let them know that you'll tell them if anything new is happening. Give them a book to write in. Sometimes the little hearts that I had before, sometimes I give them a little heart. And while they have a heart, and say their dad has a heart, and then if they're going for chemo, the dad will have his heart, and he knows that his daughter or son has their heart too, and it's a bonding thing, and it brings them comfort when they're apart. So that's really important too. So that's all for this video on, and I want to thank you for watching the other videos that I've made. Just remember to push the like button, because I always forget to say that, because I guess that's important. And we'll get another video going shortly. Thanks.